The launch of God of War is now upon us, and I wanted to give you my unbiased and impartial impressions of the game. But before I do, and in the interests of transparency and journalistic integrity, I'll be completely honest with you. I was one of the many game reviewers and YouTubers flown out to the God of War pre-launch party in Norway. It's important that I'm honest about that, and that you also understand that the holiday, free flights, free accommodation, free merchandise, gifts, sponsorships, channel promotion, network opportunities, bribes, inducements, and all the sliming around with the voice actors and creative directors in absolutely no way influenced my review of this game. No sir, not one bit. Some people are going to judge me for not saying anything critical about this game. It is true that technically the non-disclosure agreement bans me from criticising the game. But that doesn't really matter, because there's nothing to criticise. And even if there was, I probably wouldn't mention it anyway. There is no way anyone can accuse the reviewers of being biased just because we were all flown out on an all expenses paid, exclusive early reveal of the game, and given money, gifts, endorsements, activities, beads, wined, dined, plied with booze, and promises of having our channels promoted. I mean, there's no chance that would influence us in any way. I mean, if we were all that obviously on the payroll, why would we let anyone film us there, let alone film ourselves there, taking all of the gifts? I mean, who would be that stupid to be that blatantly taking bribes in exchange for positive reviews? Who would be that blatantly insulting towards the gaming community and the consumer? We would have to think you're all gullible, ignorant fools to behave like that, right in front of your faces. By the way, do you like my God of War t-shirt they gave me? Well, I first got to see the game when the studio flew me out to Norway for an all-expenses paid holiday at the Viking village of Njardhamar in Gudvangedang in Norway. It was a spectacular experience. It was my first time in Norway, and it was absolutely incredible. I was stoked. It was amazing to be able to experience firsthand the genuine day-to-day Norwegian way of life. Having dinner in a cave, axe throwing, reading runes. You know, all that genuinely realistic everyday stuff that Norwegians do every day. It really wasn't like the Viking Disney World for gullible tourists that I was expecting. There was a genuine Viking bonfire made out of 2 tons of genuine Viking shipping pallets and genuine Viking MDF particle board scraps. There was an actual real soothsayer who was telling us our future in runes. There were some slightly smelly hippies doing some LARPing to entertain the guests, and occasionally disappearing behind one of the genuine Viking huts to smoke some original, genuine Viking weed. They put some authentic war paint on me so I would look more like Kratos. My face paint looked something like this. I also had my personal saga told to me by a tramp. He said normally he worked playing Santa, but out of season he was getting a lot of work at the moment, fluffing off video game reviewers at press launches like this. He said, and I quote, "They're suckers for this shit. Some of them even want to sit on my lap." Then we got to shoot authentic Viking fiberglass laminated composite bows and shot arrows at genuine Viking plastic reindeer targets, just like real Vikings used to do. Although they probably stood a bit farther away than 5 feet when they did it. And we got to throw axes at targets positioned so close to us I was worried that if I aimed slightly too low I might hit myself in the foot. Then they made us play this game where we were rewarded with glass beads. Seriously, I don't think anyone has had this much fun with glass beads since white settlers landed in the Americas. I think if you collected enough beads you won a smallpox infected blanket or something. We spent most of the morning sitting in a presentation with a bunch of corporate lawyers dressed as Vikings. Most of the afternoon was spent signing all the forms. Non-disclosure agreements, contracts, more non-disclosure agreements, having the threats of litigation explained to us. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to film that part, but I am allowed to tell you I was really stoked and it was really super exciting. I say aloud, but actually I was kind of instructed to say that. Then, finally, we got to watch someone from the marketing department play the game for over an hour. Then we headed straight into the marketing tutorial where they explained to us what our opinions about the game would be. The grand finale was having dinner in a genuine cave, like real Norwegians do every day. The marketing department gave us a presentation about our future channel growth predictions, gave us our marketing packs, and told us which keywords to keep plugging during the reviews, whilst we listened to some genuine Nordic pop music. The amplifier and mic were apparently modelled on authentic fossilised PA equipment they found in a Viking cave excavation. So what about the game itself, and why is it literally the best game ever made by anyone literally ever? God of War is totally not a reskin of Shadows of War. You play the part of Kratos, and you hit things with an axe. You hit small enemies with an axe, and just when you think the game is flat and two-dimensional, you realise you can hit people with the axe by throwing the axe. They have a revolutionary new interface system where tapping the buttons makes you attack, and by tapping the buttons differently, you do different attacks. It's so innovative, and so unlike any game I've ever played ever. You were also followed around by a small boy, not in a creepy way. Okay, in a slightly creepy way. In what I can only describe as the most revolutionary innovation in video games evolution. You can tap buttons to get him to attack. I've literally never seen anything this original and exciting in a video game ever. Basically, as the game progresses, you groom him to be your special friend. Yeah, there's a bit of an age difference, but if you take care of him, he will do special things for you. I think in the end, they decided to rewrite the story so he's your son, because otherwise it might come across as weird. Although thinking about it, it might actually be even more weird now they've rewritten it that he's your son. Anyway, there is a groundbreaking perk system where you pick perks and they give you abilities, and it's literally the most original thing ever. I have never seen this in a video game before, quite like this. Okay, maybe there are a few other games that have done something like this before, but none of them have done it in such an original and exciting way. But don't get me wrong, God of War is not just about hitting things with an axe all the time. You can climb things. You can climb other things. You can climb sideways on one specific thing. You can go up ladders, down ladders, climb some other things, and you can stop and think about which thing you're going to climb next. This game also has puzzles. Unlike any other game I've ever seen, this game has puzzles, which you have to, wait for it, solve. Puzzles are basically like problems in a video game, and there's a solution, and you have to figure it out. It's one of the most flawless and innovative things I've ever seen in a video game. Basically, when you get a puzzle, look around, and then figure out what you have to hit with your axe. And then you get a sense of pride and accomplishment from solving the puzzle. Another totally original aspect of the game is that it introduces a revolutionary new game system called gear. In God of War, your character has different types of gear. Some of the gear is better than other gear, and some is worse than other gear. As you progress through the game, you get new gear, and if it's better than the gear you have, you keep it. And here is the killer part. The better gear has better stats, and those stats makes your character slightly better at hitting things with an axe than he was before. This literally blew my mind. I am speechless at how amazing and groundbreaking this whole gear system is. I've literally never seen anything this exciting and original before. Although this God of War watch they gave me in the hotel comes in at a pretty close second place. Another area where this video game trailblazes in a way like no other game before is the graphics. This game has graphics. Everything you do in this game is literally represented in front of your very eyes on the screen using graphics. There are graphics at the start, in the middle, and the end of the game. Even the menu screens use graphics. I've never seen so many pixels and so many different coloured pixels on a screen used to make graphics in such a groundbreaking way. And I'm not just saying that because they flew me to Norway on a jolly. But check out this hoodie they gave me. God of War is also the most beautiful game ever made. Seriously, it's literally a work of art. Screw Michelangelo. Screw John William Waterhouse. Forget the Alhambra. They are all shit compared to God of War. It's literally the most beautiful and original artwork ever created, and nothing like it has been seen before. Well, apart from the user interface which they borrowed from Shadows of War. Not only is God of War the best game ever made, I think it's also the best movie ever made. It's so cinematic that people with less than perfect eyesight, maybe pre-op cataracts or macular degeneration, or at least a bit short-sighted, but people who can't see properly would definitely confuse this for a movie. Well, a movie with a user interface on the screen all the time. Christopher Judge also portrays Kratos in a superb, understated and sublime manner. Chris Judge is best known for his performances in Neon Rider, MacGyver and House Party 2.
Indeed, 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 indeed. Indeed I have not. Indeed we are trapped. Indeed. 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 Indeed she was. Indeed. 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 Indeed.
It's not just the best game that will ever be made in the future. It's the best game that will ever be made in all possible futures. It's the best game in all eternity, not only in this universe, but in any possible multiverse. And if there are any verses not explicitly included in that statement, just assume it's the best game there too. God of War does everything better than anything done in any other game, and not only does it do it better, but it did it first. Think of anything in any other game you played. Well, God of War does it better than that, and it did it before that game did it. Do you like the Funko Pops they gave me in Norway? You can trust me when I say I'm being totally impartial here. I'm literally being paid to be impartial. I'm literally being paid to tell you that I'm being impartial. In fact, I would go further and say that when I lay in bed last night thinking about God of War, laying there in my God of War bedsheets that Sonny gave me in Norway, I realised that humanity would have been better off if we had just not bothered to invent video games. We should have just waited until now, invented God of War, and from this moment forward, not made any other video games again. That way, we would have wasted so much less time making games inferior to God of War in the past, and we can avoid wasting time in the future making games inferior to God of War in the future. And this game would be the only game humanity would have ever experienced. And you know what? That would be fine. Because compared to God of War, all other video games ever made, and ever to be made, are shit by comparison. I'll probably get a couple of people disagreeing with me in the comment section for saying this, but every video game ever made, both now and in the future, are utter shit compared to God of War. And making them was a waste of life. The only thing wrong with this game is that it's too good. It's literally so good, it's a problem. God of War is so literally perfect that the UN should force everyone to own a copy. Yes, I will admit that it's only being released on PS4, but I think the lives of Xbox users and PC owners would still be enhanced by owning a copy. If you just bought a copy and placed it unopened on top of your Xbox, it would still be the best game experience you've ever had. It's that good. Hell, they should be airdropping copies of God of War into refugee camps instead of food. And I'm not just saying that because they gave me limited edition Kratos pyjamas. But they are really snuggly. It might sound like I'm jumping on the bandwagon of all the other reviewers who got kickbacks to hype this game, but I'm being straight with you. I'm not lying to you guys. I don't need to. After the free flights, the free accommodation, the activity weekend, all the offers of money and promotion, I've started lying to myself. I'm being given so much free stuff, I've actually convinced myself that this is the best game ever made. So technically, since I'm lying to myself about what I think, what I'm telling you is technically the truth, even though it's factually a lie. God of War is the game that literally defines humanity. It literally represents the pinnacle of human creative achievement since the dawn of humankind. And it will be the best game you ever play. Unless, of course, you're on Xbox or PC, in which case you can go and suck dicks. Good luck, and happy hunting. I'm loving these figurines they gave me.